Well, we kind of said this yesterday in the video talking about Cale Fleury and how he was acquired by the Seattle Kraken in the expansion draft yesterday from the Montreal Canadiens. By the way, if you had not seen it, yeah, it's brother time over there in Seattle. They acquired Haydn Fleury from the Anaheim Ducks, and the Kraken also acquired Cale Fleury from the Habs. So, really nice to see the brotherly connection over there for the Kraken. But we're talking more about the Habs today. And you can tell from the title and the thumbnail what exactly our topic is, and even though we did talk about it a little bit yesterday as well, I wanted to expand on it even more in this video here. Marc Bergevin, man, you're an absolute madman. And it's gotten to a point where when the Montreal Canadiens went to the Stanley Cup Finals, they had a really good regular season from Jake Allen, and they had an even better playoff run from Carey Price. What Marc Bergevin was dealing with heading into this expansion draft was him pretty much being caught up in a straitjacket. You know, he's like Hannibal Lecter over there, tied up with his arms crossed over, and he can't really do anything to try to escape, because you can only protect one goaltender. The Habs have two goalies they value very much. One of them has an NMC, and he's making $10+ million a season for 5 years. And the other is, well, he's Jake Allen, who, by all means, is not really the legend that Carey Price is, but who is a fantastic backup, part of the reason the Canadiens even made the playoffs, and was the better statistical goalie than Carey Price in the regular season too. So Bergevin was caught up in a straitjacket, and we all were kind of questioning, what's the move gonna be? Are they gonna make a trade with Seattle? Say, okay, we really don't want you to take Allen, so here, what's your price? And then Seattle's like, okay, here, give us a first, give us a top prospect, and another later pick. Like, okay, come on, that's a really big price. And the Montreal Canadiens, they didn't really want to do it. And in fact, because of the situation we had here with Allen and Price, one of them being exposed and whatnot, the Canadiens just tried to trade Allen as well. But as it was written out by all the insiders in the articles we were reading heading into the expansion draft, Marc Bergevin just didn't have the heart to trade Allen. So what does he do? He goes out there, still strapped up in his straitjacket. He gets a phone call from Carey Price. Carey Price lets him in on what he's thinking, and then Marc Bergevin flexes those biceps. Carey Price reveals the ultimate plan through the phone, and all of a sudden Marc Bergevin, he hears it and he's like, huh, that's a good plan. And it allows him to just flex his muscles and break through that straitjacket, grab the phone, and start walking out the door laughing. Because Carey Price's plan to expose himself as the goalie for Seattle because he knew about his own health complications was the ultimate trigger that Marc Bergevin needed to execute a plan to ultimately allow them to keep together the tandem that really just made the Canadiens great last year. Ladies and gentlemen, the Marc Bergevin bet has paid off tenfold. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that losing Cale Fleury is like a good thing. You know, I think everybody kind of remembers. We loved this guy every time he would suit up. He was a really good player, honestly. And I do think that Cale Fleury does have top 4 upside in the NHL. I think he'll do really well playing with his brother. I think Seattle will give him a really good opportunity because that team just doesn't have any right-handed defensemen. Aside from Fleury and Larsson, everybody else over there is left-handed, and that is going to be a problem as they go forward into their tenure. You know, assuming they don't make any trades or signings, which they're definitely going to do. But for Montreal, the big win was the fact that they only gave up Cale Fleury. They didn't have to give up any assets in a trade with Seattle to make sure they wouldn't take Allen. The Canadiens didn't give up Allen himself in a trade with another team in order for them to not just lose Allen for nothing. They just lost Fleury and only Fleury, keeping this tandem together, and it's all based off of the genius mastermind plan that Carey Price meticulously crafted out for Marc Bergevin. We spoke about this before on the Saravalli article, but Bergevin had to ask the NHL, hey, so we know the deadline for waiving no-move clauses for the expansion draft was this date, but my guy Carey over here, he really wants to expose himself, so can we do it? And the NHL was like, okay, well, I mean, he wants to do it himself, so no harm, no foul, right? And eventually, around this time a week ago, everybody was like, whoa, Carey Price is going to expose himself in the expansion draft. What's going on here? Then we had all the shenanigans leaking out into the media about health issues, Weber, Price, hip stuff, knee stuff, whatever. Both these guys being in a spot where their ability to play hockey for 2021-2022 is in jeopardy, and Carey Price, the madman himself, using this as leverage to make sure the Seattle Kraken don't pick him. And ultimately, Ron Francis said it himself, hey, cap space, that's the big thing we want, it's the big thing we're going to go for, and ultimately, I mean, they did a really good job in building a team that's not getting a lot of cap space. They passed up on all the star talent that was available right in front of them. They had the opportunity to take Tarasenko, Carey Price, PK Subban, James Van Riemsdyk, Jakub Voracek, and a whole bunch of other guys, and they passed up on all of them for Carson Twarynski and all these other guys whose names people really aren't too familiar with. And ultimately, the Carey Price contract of $10+ million a season until 2026 was too much. And Carey Price was like, yeah, you know, I'm expensive. I'm also injured. I might not be able to play. So Seattle, do you really want to take a chance on me, eh? You really want to? You really want to? You want to take this contract on, buddy? Huh? Come on. And he didn't do it. They didn't do it. Marc Bergevin, bro. Your plan worked. The Habs seriously escaped this situation unscathed. Okay, I mean, not unscathed. I mean, relatively unscathed, because Cale Fleury is still a really good player, but it's honestly not really surprising to me, to be honest. Ever since we heard the rumors the other day about Braden Holtby and how the Seattle Kraken were interested in Holtby, but they didn't want to take on salary, and the Canucks weren't budging, the Canucks were like, okay, come on, Ron Francis, we're not retaining salary here. You're going to take this whole contract if you want this guy, or you're not going to take this guy. And eventually the leaks came out. Oh, they're not going to go out there and take Holtby because he's too expensive. Once that kind of clicked in my mind, wow, the Kraken really don't want to take a contract of $4.3 million for one more year in a goaltender in Braden Holtby. I was like, yeah, you're not going to get Carey Price either. Sure, Carey is a much higher magnitude standard of goaltender than Braden Holtby is, but contract-wise, I guess Ron Francis really does value that cap space, and it's gotten to a point now where they passed up on the Tarasenko move and all that stuff. They took Giordano, which is good. I mean, he's the best player on the team, I guess, if you don't want to include Jordan Eberle. But that's kind of just what Seattle was. A team that tried to go out there, build their own roster off of the shortcomings of other squads. Look at other teams that have several guys that they don't want to give up and say to them, okay, you don't want us to take that player, you don't want us to take Yanni Gourde, you don't want us to take Jake Allen, give us a first, give us 2 firsts, give us whatever it is that we demand because we're in a position of power here. And other teams in the NHL were like, okay, well, we're going to use our own tricks up our sleeves, and we're going to try to outsmart you, Seattle, and that's what Montreal did. They revealed the Price and Weber injury information at the perfect time to cause a big enough storm for Seattle for them to completely just gloss over the situation. Toronto and Pittsburgh made the McCann trade, where Toronto ended up keeping Alex Kerfoot, who is the guy they wanted to keep around anyway, and it only cost them Philip Hallander and a later pick. The price to keep Kerfoot if they negotiated with Seattle would have been a first-round pick plus. So that in itself, even though the optics, as we said in the video yesterday as well, the optics look terrible. You trade for a guy and he immediately gets taken by Seattle afterwards. That looks bad. But with the whole bigger picture in mind, oh boy, what a great move by Kyle Dubas. Teams went out there and they did their best to get around Ron Francis and his crazy high trade demands. At the time of recording this video, we still don't have any information on the side deals and all that stuff that is currently apparently being sorted out right now. So we'll see where exactly things go with these conversations and the trades and all that and the players that are acquired in the next few hours here. But for Marc Bergevin himself, big ups, bro. Big ups. I cannot stress it any further. Bergevin and Price, they did it, and they completely got through the expansion draft relatively unscathed. Goodbye, Cale Fleury. Go out there, tear things up with your brother. It's going to be fantastic to watch. Here on the West Coast, I'm a Vancouver guy. I'm going to see Seattle a lot nowadays. And for Montreal, man, hey, good on them. Thank you to those in the previous Canadiens video who commented Tri-City Americans. If you made it to the end of this one, which you I mean, you are here at the end of the video already. Comment in the comment section below, Cale Fleury, for a chance to be featured in the next one. Also, comment what you think in general about this entire situation over here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Rolls and bye.